Cy, Perky, here's the deal. I know the Iowa Corn CyHawk series is starting, but no matter who wins on the field, we all win when we choose unleaded 88, okay?
Chris Hassel. Two guys named Chris. Presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Guys Named Chris on Monday, September the 11th. My name is Chris Williams. Joined as always by Chris Hassel. We are in the Channel Seed Studios, presented as always by our friends at Fairway Meat and Grocery. I've been in the great state of Iowa all weekend with CyHawk. Hassel is back from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where the Texas Longhorns have a statement game. We'll talk a lot about Hassel's trip to Tuscaloosa. How are you, my friend? Congratulations on your Hawkeyes. Really got the old anaconda stranglehold, and my Cyclones couldn't slither out of that one, man. You get down 3 scores to Kirk Ferentz and that defense, it's over.
It's the Ferentz blueprint. I was watching the game in my radio booth as I was getting ready for the Alabama-Texas game, and it was perfect for me because I knew that game was over 2 hours before my game started. And when I really had to start digging into preparation, and I could just focus in on my game. Now, it did get close late, and Iowa State did have a chance, but you cannot fall behind like that to Iowa.
Well, and I apologize to the people who have listened to me. I feel like I've broken this game down a lot already, but, I mean, Chris, it's the easiest game ever to analyze. We said all week we knew exactly what the game would look like. It's exactly what it looked like, and whoever made the big mistake would lose. And Iowa State made 2 of them with the blocked field goal, which I think was just critical. That the stadium changed completely.
I do too. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Was even though the special teams was better for the majority of the game, that set the tone. Iowa State had a chance to take the lead early on in that game, and you get your first field goal attempt blocked, and that was the tone setter. And it all changed right then because there was juice in the building.
Yep.
It was a great opening drive. You got to finish that with points. And again, special teams.
Yep.
I predicted a 17-14 Iowa win, and I thought the difference would be Becht would make some big turnovers.
And he made the one. The
pick six.
You look for the one big miss. You can't come back from that against this team.
And the other thing was that I thought the special teams would be a difference. I thought the Iowa had a slight edge in special teams, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, you can't miss that field goal. You can't have that opening drive without points. And obviously, you can't throw a pick six.
Nope.
You get a field goal blocked, you throw a pick six, that's it. That's all Iowa needs. And that's exactly what happened.
So I was thinking about this, and you had it in your pre-show notes, and I'm not even like we've had a lot of fun with the Brian Ferentz contract thing and all that. I was consciously thinking about this during the game, and I give Kirk Ferentz a lot of credit, and this is why I would say to Gary Barta, who's not there now, but I literally said this the night that we did an emergency show on this, is be careful what you ask for, right? If you were – I give Kirk Ferentz and Brian Ferentz credit for not changing what they do. Iowa has won so many football games like this. Just uglying it up, and, there could have been a scenario there where they're like, yeah, let's go try and tack on some points here, or maybe you turn it over, or this was your classic punting is winning formula, And again, just be careful what you wish for. I'm looking at this Big Ten West right now, and there's no reason now. You got through this one. This was my kitchen refresh segment on Thursday. You got through this one, which we all thought would be tough. It was tougher than it didn't feel tough, but man, you still had a chance to lose at the end. You get through it, and you look at Wisconsin right now. You look at 0-2 Nebraska right now. Iowa is the clear-cut favorite to win the Big Ten West, and I don't see why they can't skate through their schedule right now playing the exact same style of ball that they did in Ames on Saturday.
I don't think that not only can they not win at Penn State playing that way, they won't even come close to Penn State. That's different if they play this way. But that's the one game on the schedule now where it appears they're going to lose. And I think all the other games are at least – I mean, the Wisconsin game is going to be – it's at Wisconsin. I think they're going to be better by then. That's midway through the season. The offense should be a little bit better. And that wasn't a terrible loss for Wisconsin on the road at Washington State. That's not a terrible loss.
I believe we predicted that one a month ago, that they would lose that game.
But Iowa's offense still isn't at the level that it needs to be to take that next step. Like, they could go 10-2 this year, and that's still not the next step. The next step that fans want to see is this Iowa team competing with the top teams in the Big Ten, competing in games at Penn State, getting to the Big Ten championship and competing against a Michigan or an Ohio State, not getting blown out in these games, actually having a chance to win a Big Ten championship, to beat the top teams in the Big Ten. There's no excuse now to not go at least 10-2. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if Cade McNamara's quad is going to hold up.
You know that hit once by my calculation. I had a little tracker. That was the most disappointing part of the game, other than the anemic offense for Iowa State. And I think if John Haycock could draw it up again, I think that they would have brought more pressure early. They really felt out.
That was my kitchen refresh. Remember that?
Yeah.
You get after his ass early.
They didn't send anyone until the second quarter. They were trying to get pressure with three. I can't either.
I don't understand why Iowa State
I
wouldn't
think they
have tried
looked
to
at
put
that
pressure on
line.
them.
I think that they looked at your line and thought they could get there. And to Iowa's credit, that line did improve. It did improve. Now, they still really can't run the ball, which is a problem.
Pass protection hasn't really been the problem,
no,
at least this year.
They broke the one run, which was a really good play design. They pulled 77.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good play. And other than that, the run game was quite anemic, which we thought it would be, right? Like, that didn't change in this game. But I don't know. I thought your line was better than I thought it would be. I didn't think that they would protect McNamara against that Iowa State defense again. But again, like, it was such
how many was Iowa State sending? Three?
First three.
4?
They were dropping. They dropped 8 for the first quarter.
I don't get it. If I'm an Iowa State fan, I'm livid about that, because that was the one way you could really change this game.
In the second quarter, they started bringing people, and Iowa really didn't do anything other than they had that long drive in the third quarter that was, I think, their best drive of the game, because it shed 7 minutes from the clock, which was exactly what they were trying to. I had flashes of Weissman just dinking and dunking 4 yards per carry in 2013 or whatever year that was. But yeah, that was the biggest surprise to me. I thought Iowa State's offense would struggle, right? I mean, I think I picked 16-13 for the final. I thought it would be a slog. I thought Iowa State would really get after McNamara's ass as much as possible, try and hit him early, wake him up in that crowd. It was a beautiful pregame atmosphere. But, man, those two teams and the way they play football can suck the life out of a party.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's tough. And the stadium really didn't come back to life until
after that blocked
Iowa
field
State got the game within 7.
Yeah.
And they came up with the stop to get the ball back. And I think that's that's the bone of contention I saw with a lot of Iowa State fans as they were upset with the way the clock was managed late in that game. Now, that's if that's your takeaway from the game, it shouldn't be, because you fell behind by double digits early. The way Iowa plays, they're going to give you a chance, if you do the things, to come back and have a chance to be in that game. That's just the way that Iowa plays. But they're banking on the fact that you're not going to be able to do
Utah
it.
State last week.
What's that?
Utah State did the same. They got a late touchdown too. Got it
Right.
within 10. So,
Well, and that's so I was being pretty critical during that stretch on the clock management thing. I actually, for once, like a coach talking about it, and it actually changed my mind when I heard what Matt Campbell said, and I think he was right. I mean, basically, I'm trying to cut through the coach speak, and I think what he was saying is we hadn't sniffed the end zone all day, and I think he saw exactly what you're talking about, where Iowa's really basic. You know what they're doing defensively. You have a shot to get within one score here. You better do it. And I thought, Chris, pick your brain on this. This was a game where the gambling situation really impacted Iowa State. When you have a rookie quarterback out there and you're in a 2-minute spot like that with a brand new offensive coordinator. I mean, I'm not saying Iowa State wins with Hunter Deckers, but man, a guy like that who has an entire year under his belt compared to Rocco Beck, when you're trying to get plays in quickly and you're trying
You'd be
to
able to move it faster. You'd
Now,
be
maybe
able to get the plays in faster. You'd be able to get the play off faster. But the bottom line is they had a chance. They got the ball back with over a minute to go and a timeout. They had the opportunity. That they got what they needed to. Now, should they have had more time on the clock? Probably. They probably could have moved a little bit faster. They probably could have gotten the ball back with 2 minutes left. But would that have made a difference? I don't know. Now, as an Iowa State fan, yeah, I would have wanted them to go a lot faster too. I really would, even with a young quarterback. Because bottom line is all Iowa needed was one first down. And it was
Having to
over.
burn that timeout was key, because then you got the ball back, and they really needed one when they got to 3rd and 1, right, on that final drive. Like, they needed to be able to call a timeout and regroup. And, I mean, that last play, Rocco Beck made the wrong read. It was a lot of people were like, well, why would you hand it off? Like, Rocco screwed that up. Like, you can watch the linemen and see what they're doing. Like, he just read it wrong. I hate calling a zone read in that spot. Don't put that on your quarterback, right? Like, just don't do that in that spot. But whatever. The clock thing, in the moment, Matt Campbell really changed my mind. I thought he had a good answer on that. So he said something else, and Matt's got video that I guess people got upset about this. I think I know what he's doing here, but I honestly haven't even watched his press conference. Let's play this clip about Campbell saying he thought his team played really well. Here you go.
I'm really proud of our football team. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's the best we've played in this football game since I've been here. And when I look out there and see freshmen, red shirts, freshmen, man, I'll be honest with you. I credit to them. They played a good football game, made a couple plays that beat us at the end. But, man, I don't know if I could be prouder of what this team had the ability to grow forward, this environment, handle the game.
I'll let you give your interpretation, then I'll tell you what I think he was doing there. What do you think, Hass?
I think that that it looks different in print than it does when you hear it. And I think
totally
at first
agree.
blush in print, it almost makes it seem like, if you just glance at it, that he's talking about this is the best they've played as a program the entire time he's been there. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
He said, in this game. And when you look back at the games that Iowa State's played in this series since Matt Campbell has come, I guess you could argue that. I mean, I would say they probably played better in that 44-41 game. I can't remember the game a few years back that was the fumble, right? The fumbled punt, the muffed punt
Yeah.
Did they play better in that game? I don't know. Can you make the argument this is the best they played? Maybe. I think they played better when they lost. Because that was Campbell too, right? 44-41. That was Matt Campbell.
I believe so. That was Hakeem Butler at a big. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting my CyHawk mixed up, but I believe you're right. Yeah, that was the year.
That was 2017, 20.
That was the year that Iowa State kind of turned the program as a. That was Jacob Park started that game.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they probably played better in that game, not defensively. I mean, you let Iowa score 44 points, it would.
I think you got a couple things going on here. I think one, you do have to realize how young his team is, and I don't think it does him any good to go out and just pulverize these guys, right?
Yeah.
I think he's protecting it, and just fans are upset right after the game. You see your coach say that. You want him to take accountability, all that. But I think there's something to that.
Fans were upset.
Yeah.
I thought that the majority of Iowa State fans were pissed after that game.
Oh,
and
no doubt.
I think it
the
was
overwhelming
mostly
majority
from the lack of urgency and the clock management late in that game when they felt like they had a chance.
I think the other thing, too, is, and this is so hard for Iowa State, it's hard for me because when I first started covering this program, they beat Iowa often. In fact, for a long time, they beat Iowa more often than not. And you guys would lose your minds because then you would go and win 7 Big Ten games or something, and you would always have that wart of losing to an Iowa State team that won 4 games or whatever. And I think part of what Matt's saying here is there is a lot of healthy respect between the two programs. And when Iowa State, like under Matt Campbell, I think 1-7 now against Kirk Ferentz. There's one other program that's kind of been his kryptonite, and who's that, you ask? Kansas State. Well, what? Because you're playing a lot like these teams. You're not a bad matchup for Iowa anymore. You're just not. Back in the day, Iowa State was doing stuff that nobody else on Iowa's schedule was doing, and this was before this is really before the spread had entered the Big Ten.
That's what Simon just said in the comments as well. The issue is that you don't beat Iowa playing Iowa football.
Correct. And I think what Matt is in a way saying is, he's not coming out and saying this, but I'm just trying to read between the lines. Is Kirk Ferentz is the master at this. Bill Snyder was really damn good at it, right? He's not there anymore, but Chris Kleiman is taking the torch. And they're lining up, and they're going toe-to-toe. And what fans are mad about is we want to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want to win. I think Matt's saying, like, hey, we were toe-to-toe. He mentioned all the freshmen. We were toe-to-toe with them. We had a shot to win the game at the end. It was a cleaner game, other than the pick six, obviously, in the field goal. I think that's what he's saying. But as a fan, when you're pissed, you're drunk, it was a really horrible game to watch. Like, it was a boring game. You're just mad, and then you see your coach say that, you lose your mind.
More often than not, we don't get the 44-41 heartstopper in the CyHawk series. I mean, last year was horrible. It was horrible. My dad's scarred for life. I don't think he'll ever go back to Kinnick Stadium. He was at that game.
Yeah. Steve, I agree with Steve. He said he loves Campbell State. I don't know if I love it, whatever. But he wasn't talking to us. He was talking to his team. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. And I also think that Matt's got a little bit of a deal where, he's kind of nudged at the fan base a few times the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Iowa State fans to a point are – I'm talking about the real vocal ones. Like, I think if you walk through the tailgate lot, the majority do not feel this way. But the real vocal ones, I think, are a little bit like not resentful. I don't think that's the right word, but I think they've felt like Matt has kind of come at them a couple times. And, with the whole don't fry the kicker and the deal in Purdy's final year with the whole we didn't say we were going to win a Big 12 or I don't know. They're just
yes, I forgot about that. Was the our goal is not to win the Big 12. Our goals
there's
are
been
still
a
out
few
there.
things
Our
over
goal
the years
is to be the best version of ourselves by the end of the year. Oh,
there's been,
God.
you know what I'm talking about. There's just been a few times over the years where he said these things, and there's been this portion of the fan base that took it personally.
Yeah.
And then they hear something like this, and they just lose it. where, like anything in life, Chris, there's black and there's white and there's usually gray area. I think this falls into that. But, yeah, I mean, I do think if I were advising Matt, I would say, hey, maybe butter up your fan base a little bit in the next couple of weeks, because I think there's that aspect of this vocal side of it that is kind of resentful towards that. Just my read from
he clearly does not feel like he needs to address those fans. And Kirk Ferentz never has felt that either.
Nope.
I mean, again,
and those two coaches are so much
Kirk
alike.
Ferentz.
They are so much alike.
I mean, even we didn't even mention it this week, but last week saying that, the special teams issues were a myth and a farce.
Yeah.
That
stuff.
pisses some people off too. And I know that he's doing it for his team. His responsibility isn't really to the fans. It's to his own team, because if his team can win, then the fan thing will follow. But it's getting to a point where some fans are like, my God, we're deep into this now. We've majorly underachieved the last couple of seasons. We cannot beat Iowa in Ames to save our lives. This is a really important stretch for Iowa State.
Agree.
Because this Ohio game is going to be tougher than we thought. Ohio just went into FAU and beat the Owls. They got their quarterback back. We were thinking that quarterback was out for the season.
We thought he tore his ACL when we were in Vegas.
In that San Diego State game. He came back. He came back in that game. And Iowa State's only a 1.5-point favorite at Ohio. This is a big game. You lose this game, Chris?
Yeah, then it gets bad.
Ooh. Then things start ratcheting up a little bit.
I feel like I think you got to wait this game, and not just this game, because this game won't tell us everything. Assuming Iowa State wins at Ohio. Let's say they win by 14. Just throwing it out there. That Oklahoma State game in 2 weeks is really important, because you play this way, and it's on purpose, right? They want to play this way because it gives them an advantage in the Big 12. But if you're not beating Big 12 teams with it, then what's the point, right? And last year was a bit of an anomaly, Chris, because they didn't have good tight ends, and it was just a weird year. They really didn't play like their style, and I think that's when they fired Tom Manning and got to Nate. I think they were trying to get back to exactly what we saw on Saturday, as disgusting as it was. And right now you can say, well, damn, that Iowa defense is elite. Well, if you're still averaging 2.8 yards per carry the next 2 weeks, then you got to Then the problem is considerably. Right now I can say Iowa's really damn good. You try to beat them at their game. They're the masters at it. You lost. Mm-hmm. If you're doing this and you're struggling with Ohio and Oklahoma State, then it's the problem's considerably bigger.
This is the best defense that Iowa State's going to face all season.
I was going to ask you that. You saw Texas.
Yeah.
How do you rank Iowa and Texas?
The defenses?
Defense. Yeah.
Texas has a really good defensive front. Really good. They did a pretty good job in pass coverage against Alabama as well, but Alabama doesn't have the playmakers that they used to have. Texas is the closest thing to the Iowa defense that they're going to see, but I don't know if Texas is a team that's going to keep teams to 7, 10, 13 points per game in the Big 12. I think the offense right now is ahead of the defense for Texas, and they did give up some big plays on defense, but that front line is really good. Iowa State's not going to be able to run it against Texas. I wouldn't think. And
I agree completely with our friend Simon in the chat, who says, I'm not down on the year. I said this last week. The offensive line looked average. I'm giving Clanton a chance. It will take time, but they need to improve this season. They need an O-line to play this way. I completely agree with you, Simon. But again, like we talked a lot with Iowa State where didn't know how much the gambling thing would actually impact the year. Mm-hmm. It did on Saturday. You take Jairell Brock out, you take like that. Those guys, like that's where they really let their team down. Was on and again, mm-hmm. I don't know if they beat Iowa. I could make the argument that Deckers would have thrown 2 more interceptions than Beck did because you're being more aggressive, and that's exactly what Iowa's baiting you to do. But he is right. Like you got to break these guys in where that's the second year in a row where you're trying to do that now. So
Deckers
we'll see.
is the type of quarterback that you can beat Iowa with, though, because he does take those chances. What's his record against Iowa? It's 1-0.
Well,
I know
he threw it all over the field against you last year.
Yeah.
Despite, so it's
so that's the Iowa State side.
Yeah, give me your Iowa outlook now after this one. Other than I think they're a 10-win team, especially when you look at how this is setting up.
But they're a 10-win team because of the schedule. And I know you play who you play. That's not Iowa's fault. But the schedule is looking even weaker than it did to start the season, which isn't a bad thing, I guess. But I'm just saying, like, I think Kirk Ferentz and those guys look at it and they're like, we can continue to play this way and win 10 games. Find me the losses.
Can I make a statement? They are not firing Brian Ferentz if they average 23 points per game and win 10 games. They can't.
No. So the whole deal is the contract gets ripped up and it's done with. But that doesn't mean that Beth Getz can't come in and say, okay, we're signing him to a new contract.
Yeah. I had a bunch, like, that was a theme in the press box, and I'm like, there's just no way, guys.
Well, and that's what made this whole thing so stupid. And we pointed this out on the podcast right after this was announced. What if Iowa goes and wins the Big Ten championship and they average 24 points a game? What if the offense goes out, averages 50 a game, and they only win 6 because the defense falls off? That's what makes it so stupid and why this contract never should have happened in the first place. Because now you're playing from behind because you didn't put up 40 against Utah State like you should have. You're playing from behind, and sure, you hopefully you put up 30, 40 points against Western Michigan this week, but then you got to go to Penn State. I mean, you're dealing with like 1 week. Let's just say they go to Penn State, they only scored 6 points. Mm-hmm. That basically does it right there. And this continues to be in game recaps, like just a regular game recap on ESPN.com or whatever. It will mention the Brian Ferentz point tracker. This is not going away, even though Iowa is 2-0. And what have we been saying for years? Iowa doesn't need a great offense to win games. Iowa doesn't need a great offense for us to be happy as Iowa fans. You know, people will say, like, well, what do you want us to spread it out? You want us to score 40 a game? No. What do we want? We want the 99th best offense in the country. And with the 99th best offense in the country, Iowa could win a Big Ten championship. 2 weeks in, I checked the numbers, and you played one horrible team. Well, I mean, I guess Utah State's not horrible, but
they scored 78 points against Idaho State.
Yeah, they might win 6 games this year in the Mountain West, maybe. But it's a terrible defense.
I had
they
to
have
do
a terrible
take
defense.
two. You know the little scrolling thing?
Yeah.
Utah State had 51 points at halftime.
Yeah, I think they scored 40-some in one quarter.
It was freaking crazy.
Iowa's offensive ranks after 2 games. Again, saying we just want the 99th best. They're 104th in points per game, 22 a game. They're 116th in pass yards a game at 159.5. They're 126th in total offense, 259.5.
Seriously?
126th. That is the worst in the Power 5. The team right ahead of them, Iowa State. So Iowa and Iowa State, bottom 2 in Power 5 in total offense. This offense is not going to get it done against Penn State. And unfortunately, that Penn State game is coming fast.
Yeah.
It's less than 2 weeks away. Like, they've got 1 game to try to figure this out. And if they can't, it could get, I'm not going to say it's going to get ugly at Penn State, but it might not be a game. It might not be interesting because the offense, the Penn State's really good. The offense is going to have to get considerably better, play considerably, I can't talk this morning, considerably better if they are going to compete in Happy Valley against a really good Penn State team. And that's what we want, right? That's why we went out and got Cade McNamara if you're an Iowa fan. Not to win, not to beat Iowa State, not to beat Illinois and Minnesota, and not to win. Cade McNamara was brought in so that they could compete in huge games like this, like Penn State, like when they face Ohio State and Michigan. So if you can't do that, you're just like you have been. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying if they keep playing like this on offense, they can't. So I'm looking at this week as a get-right week. Like, show us what you got. I'm not saying open the playbook, show Penn State stuff that you want to run against them. How about you show some other stuff to make Penn State think,
Just
oh, wow, maybe they'll
consistently
do
run
this.
The football.
Huh?
Would be one. Consistently running the football would be one.
Well, yeah, but you should be able to do that against Western Michigan. Are you going to be able to do that against Penn State? I don't think so. I do not think that they're going to be able to run the football at all against Penn State. I think they're going to have to throw it against them.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to.
Put some stuff on tape. Put some stuff out there that Penn State, you say you're not going to be able to do a bootleg or run a quarterback sneak. That's stuff that they know you're not going to do. Put some stuff out there to show them that you're willing to maybe think outside the box a little bit, because this is the opportunity you have with a bad team. What's Iowa favored by? 20 plus.
26.5, I think, is what it was.
They are worse than Utah State. Let's put up a number. Let's go downfield a little bit more. Let's keep Cade upright. Keep the hits away. That was great. His footwork has been fantastic, even with that injury. Hey, as Gus points out, throw to a wide receiver. And Cade did have some misses. McNamara had some misses in that game. There were a couple plays out there that he didn't get, and he should have. But
shout out to our friends at Circus Sports.
Yeah, I could go
Iowa.
on all day. Sorry, Williams.
I got to get some of these thank yous in there. Tough week for us and our Circa Millions. We did survive.
Oh my God!
With the Baltimore Ravens. We are 1-3 going into
Bears.
tonight.
The Bears.
I'm 3-2 in my other entry, so I'm still okay.
I don't care about your other entry.
How many? Matt's got the. How many people? 21% of Survivor entries were eliminated through week 1. So we're still in the hunt, baby. We are still in the hunt. John Liebel's out. He had the Seahawks. One and done for Liebs.
God. Oh,
he's out. But we had the Ravens, and we had discussed the Washington. Man, the people who had Washington had to sweat that one out.
I wanted to take Washington in Survivor. And, I mean, hindsight, yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been great. Would have been the right play.
Yesterday wouldn't have been. That was scary. And
Yeah.
the majority of people did take Washington in Survivor.
I hadn't
There
even
you
seen
see.
that. Yeah, you're right. 38%, and then 32% of us had. So the Vikings were the big letdown in Circa Survivor this week. God, they were terrible. Kirk Cousins was awful. So many turnovers. Just horrible. Okay, so we got that going. We will have our Survivor and Millions picks coming up on Thursday as well. I'm going to a farm tomorrow afternoon in Guthrie Center with one of our great Channel Seedsmen. We're going to do a little commercial shoot out there.
Oh.
So that'll be fun. We're in the Channel Seed Studios. And then I went to the Fairway Meat Market on Friday to get some food for the camper.
I'm not sure that there was any meat left after everything they sent me.
Andy Fales. Oh, you got your box. Yes, you got your box.
Wow, we buried the lead.
Buried the lead there, right? Look at that. Look at all
Did we
that
get to
meat.
the bottom of this?
So I was gone already. I had already left for Alabama. And my wife's like, there is a box outside that says Fairway on it. It's so heavy, I had to drag it inside. It's so big and heavy. I said, oh, God, what's going to be in there? Is like the Floyd of Rosedale in there to screw me over again? No, it was a Fairway meat box with all kinds of meat, including ham balls. And it was so much, we couldn't fit everything in the freezer.
I looked on Fairway's website to see how
You sound
much,
low, Van Wink.
Yeah,
Is
you're a
Van Wink
little
low to you, Williams?
Crank that thing
a
up,
little
Matt.
better. A little better.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
That's
hey.
better.
Or are you trying to like keep is the baby sleeping? Is the baby cuddling with its placenta, and you're trying not to wake it up?
A lot of placenta talk in the RV lot.
Turn
Like,
your mic up. What's going
Is
on?
it still low?
Speak up. Jesus.
one guy
Is that better?
drove by my camper on Friday night. I'm watching Kansas, Illinois. I'm trying to relax. And this guy rides by on like a little motor school and just yells, "Placenta!"
This is $600 worth of meat.
What's going on, Van Wink? Are you trying not to wake somebody up?
Am I really quiet?
You're like, I mean, $600 worth of meat. Yeah. So, we get
So-
to the
And the
bottom of
handball is your favorite.
We need to give credit to the gentleman. So you actually, Chris, got
Yes.
2 Fairway meat boxes because there was a gentleman on. We discovered this, and I apologize to this guy for we don't check Facebook messages apparently as much as we should. So one of our listeners, similar to the guy from Oskaloosa that went and bought me a Spencer Petras autograph jersey.
By the way,
One of-
we got to circle back to that because you were supposed to be wearing that today.
No, you never made the deal with me because you never had any deal that you were going to do if Iowa State lost.
Well, what
Or
the
if
hell am
Iowa
I going
State
to do?
won. I don't know. That's the whole point. I'm not making a bet if it's one-sided. This gentleman got so sick and tired of you bitching about a Fairway meat box that he sent you Fairway meat as well. So you got 2 Fairway meat boxes. You got one from Fairway, and then you got one from this guy who took it upon himself to investigate and find your address, and he sent you this.
But it didn't say who it was from. It just said from Fairway. So how do I know which one's from him and which one's from Fairway?
I don't know. Well, you're going to have
the
another
box
one.
you just got was from our listener.
Oh, my God.
I pulled the receipt. I did a little
That was like
digging.
$600
Yes.
worth of meat.
My God. What's this guy's name? Just say his first name. I want to thank him on behalf of my rude co-host.
Well, I don't
That's
know
all right.
because it didn't say on the box. It just said from Fairway.
Regardless, we have the best listeners. Thank you to all of you. And so I was telling you, so Fails, they're doing the RV TV on Friday night out there you've done that before, from Jack Trice.
Yeah.
Fails tasted this. I got these at the Fairway Meat Market in Ames. They're bacon cheeseburger balls. So it's like hamburger and cheese wrapped in bacon. And I think it might be better than the chicken grillers. I think that I may have found
Fails is
something.
going to lose his mind when he hears you say this.
This
Stuff is your
Fails
favorite.
and I actually got in a fight about this on Friday night because I told him, I was like, I am done with you slandering the chicken grillers. I will kick your ass.
He's not slandering the chicken grillers. He's just saying they do so many things better than the chicken grillers.
They do the chicken griller. They're like Iowa with this boring-ass style of football. They do it better than anyone else. The chicken griller, did Fairway invent it? No, but they do it better than everybody else.
Van Wink says that Brian is the one who
Thank you, Brian.
sent the meat box.
2 guys named Chris here on
I'm
Iowa
sorry,
Everywhere.
I'm thrown off by Van Wink coming in here and whispering into the microphone is
Yeah,
really
I get it.
he's thrown me for a loop.
Fairway meat.
I smoked a pork butt this weekend
Did you?
from Fairway. Yeah.
You have a little shrinkter in there? Little placenta, little sphincter. Mix that all together.
Nice and nutritious. Let's do our Kelderman Manufacturing bigger, better, bolder performance of the past weekend. Kelderman came by again, talked to him a little bit. Want to remind all of our great farmers that are out there, if you're a channel seedsman listening, that our friends at Kelderman Manufacturing,
Williams,
the down corn reel.
You've confused everyone in the comments. Now everyone is worried that I didn't get a real meat box from Fairway, that it was just from Brian. People are really worried. This show has gone off the rails between Van Wink's whispering.
So I'm trying to get back to this. That's why I'm trying to get the show back going.
Okay.
I wanted to do our Kelderman Manufacturing bigger, better, bolder performance of the past weekend.
Bigger, better, bolder. Powered by Kelderman Manufacturing.
And I want to talk to you about Tuscaloosa. We'll let Matt Van Winkle, if he can get his stop drooling over Brock Purdy, and if you can turn your goddamn mic up, let Van Winkle come in and give his.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Wasn't everybody picking Pittsburgh to win that game?
And they just
I heard
went.
so many people saying Steelers are going to win this game.
Brock looked really good.
Man.
Like he looked really good.
My favorite part of this is Patrick Peterson from Pittsburgh was talking all kinds of crap like I'm going to pick Purdy off before the game.
Yeah.
What does he do? He goes right after Peterson the first 2 drives on offense, hits Ayuk for 2 touchdowns. One of them was an absolute dime.
Did you see this morning, guys, that the new NFL odds, the 49ers are now like the clear-cut favorite to win the Super Bowl in Vegas?
What? Over the Chiefs and over the Bills?
They're
really?
number 1 now. Yeah, the Bills were 4, the Chiefs were 3, the Eagles were 2, and I think I saw the Cowboys were 5th. The Cowboys in that statement win last night.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Niners is they're in the NFC, and where's the – I mean, it just seems like it's the Niners and the Eagles, maybe the Cowboys. There's really it's a lot easier path in the NFC than it is in the AFC.
I can't deny it. I was going to let Matt take it because I thought about taking Brock as well. Hassel, who's your bigger, better, bolder performance of the past weekend?
Well, I'll go back to my game. And Steve Sarkisian.
Woo!
How about a career resurrection? Thanks to Nick Saban in Alabama. He was in rehab and just a mess. Remember the debacle at USC, forced out, had substance abuse problems. Nick Saban brings him to Alabama as an offensive assistant in 2016, resurrects his career, and Sark says saved his life. He then underwent, I think in 2020, a major heart surgery where he would have died in days had they not discovered this heart problem. He goes to Texas, brings his Longhorns back to Tuscaloosa, and just kicks their ass. The play calling was immaculate. Ewers hitting the deep ball, so impressive. And just a great story. Steve Sarkisian, he's been sober for 8 years now.
That's cool.
And he's got Texas on the verge of maybe being back and maybe being a playoff team.
I mean, the team that I saw, first of all, I have not real questions about Alabama. That sounds stupid, but I just don't know if they're this dominant. I think Georgia's replaced them.
I do too. That was the storyline all offseason. Is Bama now on the downward slide? Because they haven't won their own conference, the last 2 years.
And there's a reason why Saban's so he's not anti-NIL, but because they just don't have the deep pockets that they have a massive fan base. Don't get me wrong. Bama's doing just fine, right? But
I saw the amenities. I saw the stadium. I saw it all firsthand.
Yeah, they're doing just fine, but I'm saying like when you compare them to Texas in that world, they're small. Like Texas dwarfs what they can do in that type of the world. So we'll get back to that. Good pick right there. I'm going to go a little off the beaten path here. I'm going to give a shout out to our friends in Pullman and Corvallis, out in the Pac-12.
I love this. This is a good one.
Oregon State and Washington State were essentially relegated in the offseason. And both teams have started off 2-0.
It's
Oregon
the Tupac.
State,
It's now the Tupac.
Yep.
Two teams left in the Pac-10, Pac-12.
Oregon State went on the road last week and beat San Jose State, who we saw give USC a game in week 1, and not much of a game, but they were competitive at least. They're 2-0. Washington State with 2 really good wins. They went on the road in week 1 and won at Colorado State, and then they beat Wisconsin at home over the weekend. And I think that they deserve props. Again, you are relegated. You are said that you are not worthy of this spot that you have in the sport, and they've come out and are both 2-0. I think it's a great story, and I'm going to nominate Washington State and Oregon State for mine.
I heard one of the radio calls from that Washington State game, and the announcer for Washington State, it was like a big hit on defense or something, and he's like, up the middle, and whoa, huge hit. You mean to tell me that's not a Power 5 hit? Get out of here. Suck it. He didn't say suck it, but close.
That's awesome.
I like that, Williams. Good call on that.
So you're in Tuscaloosa. I've been there once. I called a women's basketball game in Tuscaloosa once. And
by the way, those are not purple pants, Van Wink.
Those are purple pants.
They're not purple.
It's
like a reddish.
Oh. No, in the shade they look.
I don't
purple.
know the exact.
They don't look
color,
bad. I'm just saying purple.
But it's
pants
like a reddish color.
It's kind of nice that you can just be a little more casual up in the radio booth.
Yeah, it is. Especially when it was hot during the day. Hot. Man, I got a great story.
How was your experience?
I got a great story. So I'm on the field. You know, I tweeted it out last night, ran into the Liberty Bowl exec who's like, yeah, they drank us out of Busch Light. I know that guy. He's great. Harold. He's like, who drinks Busch Light? No, who drinks Busch Light? Iowa fans. Iowa State fans drink Busch Light. He says if Iowa State comes back, that won't happen again. They'll be prepared.
Yeah, they told us that the second time, and it wasn't the case.
Right after that, I go back up to the booth. So you got to get in an elevator. And, there's a special elevator there's one elevator for fans and there's one elevator for media. So I'm on the media side, and I walk up, and there's one person ahead of me. It's the SEC commissioner. SEC commissioner is right ahead of me, and then I look behind me, and I just see this brigade of just bros, this bro brigade behind me. And I see Big Cat, and I see Dave Portnoy, and it's the Barstool Brigade. And so I'm right in between SEC commissioner and the Barstool guys. And this Barstool handler dude who's in a full, he's in a 3-piece suit. It's 95 degrees. His suit is soaked all the way through the back. The back of his suit coat is drenched. He goes up to the SEC commissioner, and he said, well, Commish, can I introduce you to a couple of folks from Barstool? And the commissioner, he could not have been less interested. He was like, well, I'm not losing my place in line. Because he was the first in line to get on the elevator.
He was being serious?
Yes. And then
I got real beef with Greg Sankey too, by the way.
What? Okay. I mean,
no, I really do. I have major beef with him. He's the most hypocritical dude in college athletics. But
all right. So the guy's like, well, nope, you won't lose your place in line. Well, I'll just. So then the elevator door opens, and so then we walk in. So he goes to the back, and I go right in front of him, and then these Barstool bros just pile in. Big Cat is just to my right, and Portnoy is right in the middle. But I'm in between them and Sankey. And the handler dude is right next to Sankey. And so we're in this elevator. There's 20 people jammed into this extremely small elevator. It's hotter than hell. And so then, we're all in there. The barstool handler guy is like, Mr. Commissioner, I'd like to introduce you to Big Cat. And Big Cat's to my right, and he just goes, it's Dan. Hello. Nice to meet you. And the commissioner's like, hi. And then he goes, Mr. Commissioner, I'd like to introduce you to Dave Portnoy, El Presidente. And Portnoy turns around like he doesn't give it. Like he goes, hey, Commish. And Commissioner's like,
shit.
Hi. And that was it. Like those guys didn't even care about meeting. Like they felt bad, I think, that their handler dude was just all up in the commissioner's face trying to get him.
I'm sure it was really awkward for them too. Like they
but then there's this guy right between Portnoy and Big Cat and right in front of me when this happens, and this guy's eyes, he had like an eyeball ejaculation when he realized he was standing between Portnoy and Big Cat. He's like, whoa, oh my God, I didn't know you guys were in here. I mean, and they're like, yep, that's us. And so just jizzing out of his eyeballs because he's right in between. I mean, it's like a little barstool Eiffel Tower. Big Cat on one side, Portnoy on the other, Sankey's in the back. Just a weird experience. None of them really cared about meeting one another. The only person that cared was the barstool handler guy who wanted to introduce him, and the guy who was in the middle of the barstool sandwich.
Was he like a bodyguard?
No, he looked like a Wall Street businessman. It was weird.
So he was like their PR guy or
That's what it seemed like to me, but he was like a 3-piece suit.
That's bizarre.
He looked like a businessman, but nobody wanted to meet one another. Everyone just wanted to get upstairs, get into the air conditioning. But this guy, well, you know how it is. You want to get your guy in front of the other person. You got to get some FaceTime. Nobody cares.
Real quick update. So Jack Trice Stadium press box does have air conditioning, right? We talked about this last week. And I told you that the smell was considerably better in the bathroom against Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
Not the case on Saturday.
Oh, no. Is it because are the Iowa writers the ones that are blowing it up?
I don't know if it's necessarily them, but I went in there, take a leak in the third quarter, and I about vomited.
By the way,
there's only one toilet.
Who really has to use, like in that kind of situation, wouldn't you do anything and everything you could to not have to use a toilet like that?
Honestly, I would leave and go back to like a porta potty.
I mean, unless you're taking
blowing it up in front of my
laxatives
colleagues
for 14 months and you can't hold it. I told my crew that story over dinner on Friday. We were with all these like Learfield executives. They thought that was the funniest thing they've ever heard.
Be like, yeah, it's your Iowa State postgame host.
And all they wanted to know was, what did his doctor say? And I said, he never told his doctor.
Just let it figure itself out, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All your professional colleagues. I guess, I don't really hide the story. Told it like 5 times.
Yeah, you did. You share it far and wide.
One quick commentary. So I walk from my parking lot to Jack Trice. It's 2.5 hours or so before kickoff. I don't know what we can do about it being in our state. And the caucus is, all in all, I think a really good thing for our state. But my God, Chris, I'd never seen anything like it for a football game. The political stuff.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right.
There are just MAGA hats everywhere. There's, and then you have the other side, and the F Trump, and it was really, really bad. There were mascots walking around, like guys with Trump like hair pieces and "Let's Go Brandon" shirts. I mean, it was everywhere in the lots. People were flipping Trump off during the game.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
Oh,
I know. There's my boy DeSantis. He was up there. So look at
your
DeSantis.
guy.
He's a man of the people. He's sitting with the crowd. He's sitting with everybody.
and he was with the governor, and she's right next to him. And I think that was fairly. But man, like, the one thing I did learn just walking up and down, getting to that press box is like this day is already like 90% of the people are not divisive on CyHawk. It's neighbors sitting together, it's family, it's really, really fun. That other 10% can get nasty. Like we've all seen it, we've all had that experience before. But now we throw in Democrats versus Republicans and the most polarizing politician in the history of our country. We throw him into the mix. It did not make for a great mix. And what is Iowa State supposed to do? If you tell Trump he can't come, then you get canceled, right? Like, and it would be the same way if it was the Democrats coming, like, and then they're going to try and cancel you. Like, you can't tell these guys you're not welcome. But man, we had "Where's Melania" banners flying around the stadium.
What was that all about? Why
I don't know.
Did Trump make her disappear or something? What?
I have no idea. But my point is, when you looked up into the sky, that's all you saw. I don't know what you can do about it, but it did not enhance game day for the CyHawk game.
I'll tell you what does enhance game day. I was talking with someone from Alabama. They just started allowing alcohol sales in the stadium. And again, I asked the question, all right, because they did it last year. How did things go? How were the arrests? And he said, wouldn't you know it? All the arrests went down. Fewer issues on game day. And
because they weren't binge drinking before.
We made $2.5 million in profit.
Is that the theory? Like that they're not all just like taking shots and
it's
stuff?
Every single school that has done this has reported the same thing. And so then I said, you know what Iowa State does? And boy, these folks, they can't believe that Iowa State is selling this premium seating in an end zone so that you can get alcohol. And I know that's not why they do it. I know that's not why they did it, but
it was one of the perks when they did
I
launch
know
that, though. Yeah.
And I still can't believe that Pollard doesn't allow it in the stadium. It just blows my mind.
I think the goalposts have moved. I understood Pollard 10 years ago when he was
sure.
Everything
I understood it
has changed
5
now.
years ago. Really?
Yeah, I mean, you can't have an officially licensed vodka and make that argument. But
Right. And I think it's got to happen. I mean,
I think it will. I do think it will.
Finally got the AC in the press box. There we go. The next logical step has to be alcohol sales throughout the stadium. And also, people can't believe that you can leave at halftime and go to your tailgate. I mean, between telling these folks down in Alabama about your laxative binge and Iowa State alcohol sales at the stadium, I mean, they don't know what to think about the state of Iowa. They really don't. But you know what I found down there, and I guess I haven't been to a game in Iowa for a long time, but the way that these students dress up for these games,
oh yeah,
blows my mind. They all wear cowboy boots.
That's interesting.
Even
when it's 100 degrees out,
Yeah.
they're not wearing flip-flops?
Yes. All of them wear cowboy boots the whole day. And the guy they dress up. The guys are always wearing polo shirts and khakis. It's weird.
And then you look over at Iowa City and you got Vodka Sam.
Yes, that's how I would picture someone dressing.
You know what I noticed? The amount of... Never mind, I'm not even going to say it.
Oh. What?
I'm not even going to say it.
Okay. Williams and Van Wink, you guys have really stirred things up with this Fairway meat box. You've really stirred things up. Saying that box that I got this week that said it was from Fairway was from a show listener / viewer.
So how many meat boxes did you get?
1. I got 1 meat box. All the meat was spread out right there. You showed it. It was $600 worth of meat.
You owe this guy a card or something. You need to write him a card.
Thank you, Brian. His name is Brian?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I wish he would have said it was from him. I thought it was from Fairway. What the hell is going on?
Tell your wife to get that box back out of the recycling. There's probably a nice card in there from Brian.
There's not. She looked.
Look at that.
I got this cool shirt in the mail.
Nice.
Fairway's always sending me stuff. It's great. It's a really great relationship.
Well, they sent me the swag bag last week.
Yeah, same thing. I'm sure
You know who's going to be real pissed is Andy Fales, because he loves the show, loves all the placenta talk, but can't stand the Fairway meat box talk. He's so sick and tired of the Fairway meat. I mean, it's gone on for a year. A year. What have you done? It was finally over. It was fine. Just let me have it. Why did you have to tell me that it was someone else that sent it?
Fales was at my tailgate for about a couple hours on Friday night. It was good catching up with him. Love that guy. All right. We got to get to our day jobs. I am going to do, real quick, in an hour and a half at 11 o'clock, I'm sitting down with Sage Rosenfels for CW Pod. Thought it'd be good to obviously, both of our offenses need work, right? And Sage is a brilliant offensive mind. I want to talk to him about that, and I'll probably pick his brain about week 1 in the NFL as well, but that'll be coming up, the Steeple Ridge sponsored CW Pod. We're recording that today. So a lot of football talk for you guys today.
My brain is in a pretzel now. I mean, between the Van Wink whispering, this Fairway meat box thing.
It's been a long week. And you're at the Backyard Brawl this week, right?
Yes.
One of my favorite towns in the country, Morgantown, West Virginia.
This week's slate of games is not good. Have you looked?
It's terrible.
Oh my God.
And I'm pissed because I'm actually going to be home and I can just watch games all weekend, and it's terrible.
One of the better games is Iowa State at Ohio.
ESPNU.
Look what you've done. Look what you've done. South Bend Hawkeye says that everybody's going to boycott Fairway until Hassel gets the box. What have you done? What have you done?
We got to get out of here.
This has
Chris
been
Hassel.
an epic disaster.
Yeah, it's been bad. It's one of the worst things we've ever done. Two guys named Chris. We'll be back on Thursday here in the Channel Seed Studios on Iowa Everywhere.